5 games remaining for Indiana football in this 2023 regular season, and the first of those 5 takes the Hoosiers to Happy Valley, taking on Penn State, one of the challenges and great opportunities of playing in the Big Ten East Division. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Indiana Football Live. With you here on the Indiana Football X account and on the IU Athletics YouTube page. I'm your host, Rhett Lewis, color analyst for the Indiana Radio Network. Excited to be back up in Happy Valley for the first time since I went there as a player with IU in the early 2000s, and to hang out with Don Fisher and our great broadcast team up there at Happy Valley and watching this game unfold noon Eastern on Saturday. Going to be a great one and really excited about it. Penn State, of course, coming off a loss to Ohio State. IU as well, trying to bounce back from a defeat at the hands of Rutgers. And we will preview that IU-Penn State matchup throughout the next few minutes here on this show. Now, if you're watching after the fact, you'll know that this is also available for you anytime on demand on the IU Athletics YouTube page, on iuhoosiers.com. And then on the IU Athletics pages where you can actually submit comments, questions, whatever you'd like, and we can get to some of those if they pop up before the end of the show. Of course, you can also access this thing on demand on the X account through @Indiana Football. So I'll get you a few thoughts on the Nittany Lions here in just a few minutes, but we'll kick things off by welcoming our player guest this evening, a stalwart in the middle of Indiana's defensive line, an experienced college football player, but a one-year Hoosier, but one that feels like he's belonged here from the jump. Let's say hello to defensive lineman Philip Blidi.
Hey,
Philip,
what's going on?
What's up, big dog? How we doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor.
Hey, thank you, Philip. It's been great to watch you play through these first few games here of this season, and you've been a terrific addition to the IU program, and we're just so lucky to have you, and that we got you from Texas Tech this year. So excited to chat with you here a little bit. Let me first just ask you, how are you feeling? Obviously, you've had a couple of physical games now in a row, and look, let's be honest, every game is physical up there in the interior of the defensive line, but obviously with the way that Michigan ran the football, saw you go down a little bit in that game. You kind of felt like you were fighting through it against Rutgers a little bit. So how are you feeling physically?
Man, physically, I'm feeling great now.
Good.
I really took advantage of what we had this week. Got extra treatment in. Really, the coaches did a great job of taking care of our bodies, too, at practice. So I'm really feeling like I'm back 100% and ready to go.
Well, we're going to need you this week, no question. Penn State is obviously a big-time challenge. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but it's clear that you've got the toughness that Tom Allen wants to see with this team,
yes,
right?
Sir, no doubt.
And toughness was Coach Allen's word for this season, for this squad. How is that toughness team-wide being challenged right now in the midst of this difficult stretch of the season?
I mean, right now our back's against the wall, and really you got to really get that deep within you, like that really empty tank. Got to find that last little bit, and it really takes a tough person to find that last little bit to really fight through that, no matter what the circumstance is. So that's what this team is doing right now, like every day at practice, and outside of the facility, like every day we got to go out there and find a way to win, find a way to really just find that last bit in your tank and get it done. So that looks a lot of different ways, and right now that's what we're doing right now as a team, and as the whole staff. Like that's what they're doing right now.
I love hearing that, and it kind of reminds me. Actually, let me do my weatherman here behind me. This is from when I was playing here. I played for Coach Terry Hepner in my last year, and we'd always walk out like that, right, arm in arm. And, it's in the grand scheme, does it mean that much? The way you walk onto the field, maybe not, but it's in symbolism. It means that these are the guys that are going to change it, right? These are the guys that are going to change the course of the season. And that's it. That's all you got is the guys next to you, right? Doesn't it feel like maybe that feeling for this team is amplified right now? And maybe that's something that you can draw on, right? Is that I'm doing it for this guy. I'm doing it for this guy. And we're the ones that are going to be the change makers here down the stretch.
Yes, that's the thing I love about this sport, like especially in times like this when we're facing adversity, you got to go back to your why, and everybody has their main why.
Sure.
But why else? Like the guys to your left and your right, the guys that you was training with in the off season, those guys that been through things off the field, and when you go through things off the field, they come and lean on you. Like, that's your brothers, you know, y'all a family. Like, we a family, you know, and when family going through hard things, like, you lean on them, you know. So that's a great example of right now, you know, like right now we're leaning on each other. Like, every day we come out, we playing for your brothers. When we get on that battlefield on Saturday, you are fighting for your brothers. Like, you it's do or die. Like, you doing it for your brothers, you know, and that's what it just comes down to. This ain't nothing like it. That's why that's another thing I love about this sport, you know.
It's why we love the sport. It's why we love this game. It's why we love, you know, the team aspect of it. And it's why you love, you know, doing it for sure, and going out there, practice early in the morning. And it's why you did it in the summer, and it's why you do it now. And so it's clear to see. And I love that you got that mindset too. So that said, what's the vibe been like? What's the level of focus been like to kind of reset things here and get this game plan right and get this execution right as you get set for a tough challenge here at Penn State? What's that been like at practice this week?
Man, no matter what side of the ball it is every day we come out is execute. You play tough, you play with energy, and get ready to go, because everybody on the field is challenging each other. Like, we, especially like times like this, a part of the season, like, we got to challenge each other, and we got to be able to fight through things for real. So really, it's been competing at practice every day, competing and really keeping that energy high, like not letting nobody don't let your highs get too high, don't get your lows get too low.
Yeah.
You know, picking up people that's low, like that's down, you know, because naturally when things aren't going your way, there's gonna be people that's gonna have down days, and really having teammates really truly leaning on your brothers at practice, and really chilling, like, remember, like, this, what's the mission at the end of the day? Like, what's the goal? Like, what do we really want? And if you really keeping people accountable for real, if you really want what you want, like, your actions gonna speak louder than your words. You know, like your practice habits every day gonna speak louder than, oh my God, like, I'm tired of this. You know, like, all right, if you're tired of this, do something about it. And that's what we've been doing at practice, been doing something about it. And at the end of the day, it's up to us to show that on Saturday. So
that's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about right there, with a vibe and a level of focus at practice. It's time to turn that tide, no question. So, you know, obviously you had a team last week in Rutgers that challenged you up front, right? That just said, hey, we're going to lean on you all game long, and that's what we want to do. We want to run the football, and we don't care if it doesn't look pretty, but they're going to do it. And so, you know, look, outside of that first drive, felt like, you know, there was a lot of times in which the defense did stand tall and did their job, and man, but they kept coming and they kept coming. And that's kind of what's going to happen here this week at Penn State. Two great running backs, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton. We'll get to that. But, you know, a really talented offensive line, certainly at Penn State. How have you guys worked to re-energize, you know, that part of the defensive effort comes to stopping the run, you know, something, you know, as old as this game is, right? That's kind of what this game was founded on, running the football and stopping the run. And so how have you guys kind of re-energized that effort and that part of the defense this week?
Man, really bringing it back up, like the things that we've done good. Like, if you can do it once, you can do it again, you can do it again, you can do it again. It's about being consistent. And that's what we're really focused on. You know, we know the kind of defense we got. We know the guys that we got. Now, we've seen what we can do as a defense when we all do our jobs, and when we're all when we have like consistent energy throughout the whole game. Like, we know what we can do. Now it's, okay, how do you get that to be consistent? Doing your job every play, you know. And I think if we're able to do that, like when we're able to do that, we know we can be, and it shows on film. You know, like the success that we've had is when we played with high energy and we've done our jobs, and we just continue to go, like, drive off of each other, you know, like. So I think really just getting back to that, just everyday practice habits, really keeping that same mentality on the field as off the field. Like, when it comes to watching film and stuff, like seeing yourself make plays. See yourself make plays on Friday. See yourself make plays throughout the week when we watching film. When you're watching this film, you're watching this film to make plays. See yourself making plays within the job that you have. So really getting back to doing your job and getting back to like like you a dog, you can do this. Like
That's right.
get out there and do that every snap. Especially like every snap every snap means something. Especially when it means the most. So which is on Saturday. So
That's awesome, man.
That's how we can play when we doing what we do.
It's such a great mindset to have. You've done it once. Why not do it again? Did it against Ohio State, one of the very best in the country. Can you do it again against Penn State? And can you be at your best when your best is required for 60 minutes? And that'll certainly be the case this week against Penn State. So, look, I think obviously, when you came over from Texas Tech, you envisioned, a team that was going to have, success and that you were going to be a big part of it. All the guys who came here did, whether they were, freshmen that came in a recruiting class or they came through the portal, everybody envisioned a team that was going to have success and that they were going to be a part of it. Now, obviously, the last month or so, we haven't seen that, but there's still opportunities, right? There's 5 opportunities left of this season, and there's still opportunities to find a 13th game this year and a 6th game that's actually left out on the schedule. Can you rally around that? Obviously, understanding that the goal is week to week, and you're not going to look past Penn State, but understanding that everything you still want to accomplish is still out there in terms of playing in the postseason.
Right. So, in life, naturally, when you get knocked down, like you got to get back up, no matter how you wanted it to go, you got to get back up. So we've had success. We've had times that we did good things, but right now we're just trying to find that line of just being consistent, being who we can be, who we know we can be, So, really, when it comes down to doing that, I think just focusing on one week at a time. Whoever we got this week, all right, what can we do to beat this team? Like, what are you doing to beat this team? And then, all right, you get done with that, and
who's next?
What's next? You know what I'm saying? It's the next week. So really, just being where your feet are. Really, being where your feet are. Focus on the task at hand every week. We're never looking ahead. Like, you got to focus on your guys this week. How are you going to beat these guys? Like, how are you going to be dominant on Saturday? And it starts with every week. Like, not every week, but it starts with every day. So definitely focus on every day. Focus on how to get 1% better every day at practice. Doing extra. So I think when you focus on one game at a time, what you can do to beat this team in the week, like being where your feet are, you definitely gonna want what you want. And we also remind ourselves, right now it's not looking the way you want it to go, but everything we do want is in front of us. Like, remember that.
That's right.
And when you come out there, that's something you got to keep in mind. Like, that's something that you use to drive you, So I think we've really been doing a good job at that, like, especially throughout this week, So
stay up, man. Yeah, gotta understand what's out there for you. Still have to compete, and that's awesome to know. So you obviously know Coach Randolph a little bit, who's up there with you this year. Coaching IU, and I know he's glad to have you a part of the defensive line rotation. How would you describe the way Coach Randolph tries to get the best out of you guys up front?
Man, he is the definition of consistent. He comes out every day. He is always high energy. He loves us, and we all know that, and when you got somebody that love you and that care about you and that that's gonna really be with you throughout anything, so we really go out there and play hard for him, and really he always just challenges us to be our best. Like, it don't matter who he is, you're gonna get the best from him, and he's willing to work with you. Like, no matter the time of the day, like, it don't matter what, like, you gonna get everything from him, So that's one thing. Everybody in the room know that, like, he's 100,000%, 1,000,000% invested in us, So
that's great. Yeah, that's clear. Got a chance to spend some time with him on one of our other weekly pieces on IUHoosiers.com called Under the Hood, and got to know Coach Randolph a little bit more. And he's a great man and a great coach, and we're lucky to have him here at IU. You guys obviously rotate, fairly heavily, up front, especially in the interior, right? With your buddies Ladarius Cox and Philip Blidi and the whole crew. Excuse you, obviously Philip Blidi, but with the whole, you got 4, 5, 6 guys that you guys can rotate through there, Philip. So, Give me a just, a sense of what that feels like. And there's a trust, right? You obviously want to be out there, but when you're not out there, you trust that the other guys are going to keep you guys in your defense at a good position to make some plays. So tell me a little bit about how that defensive line rotation works with you guys.
So really, I think the best part of it is when it comes to the trust, like that, the fact that we're able to rotate the amount of people that we rotate speaks a lot to, the players and having the trust from the coach. Hey, the D-line coach got to be able to trust the guys that they put in. So really a big way. Like we always, every time we're at practice, like it's iron sharpens iron every day. Like everybody that get in, like we make each other better, and if you don't play on Saturday, we make each other better. The way we compete, the way like the fever pitch we play at every day, in practice, and that's what really allows us to do that, So that's really it's really
it's
a
like
great
play
thing
at 100%, right? Play with that high motor. Know that Coach Randolph's going to get you if you need a blow, and that the next guy in is going to come and do the exact same thing. That's right. That's kind of what it feels like watching you guys, and love seeing that. And I know you guys are going to be tested this week for sure. Once again, just as you are each and every week in the Big Ten. Hey, lastly here for you, Philip, and we certainly appreciate you giving us some time. You are kind of a unique student athlete in that when I think I've heard it a little bit in the background, as you could probably have heard it in my background. I got two wild maniacs running around back out here. When you come home from practice and from class, you got a little family waiting on you sometimes. So what's that like for you to have that built-in kind of support system, off the field and away from the team when you really need it?
Man, it feels great. It means the world to me. That's really the best part of my day, getting to come home and spend time with the family. No matter what time of day I'm having, that they always brighten up my day. They always add to my day in the best way, the most positive way. So really, it's really a feeling that's hard to explain.
Sure,
like,
I know it.
It's like it's a real thing. Coming home to your wife and your daughter and your son, and they're seeing the smile on their face. They want to play with you. They want to do things with you. They make things for you.
That's right.
It's an amazing feeling.
Well, and I agree with you. There's nothing like it. And you're certainly an exceptional student athlete, dad, husband, and defensive lineman for Indiana, man. And so we appreciate you giving us a few minutes here, and can't wait to see you out there on the field against Penn State on Saturday.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's an honor every time, So
my pleasure, and we'll look to do it again here real soon. But best of luck this Saturday, man.
Yes,
hey, we're coached till kickoff, right? Prepared till kickoff, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. All right, thanks very much, Philip Blidi, with us today on Indiana Football Live. Man, awesome young man right there. Great things in front of him for sure, not just on the field but off. So let's talk about a couple of things here about this matchup with Penn State. Very important, obviously, and we'll get to some of the Penn State players here in a little bit. But make no mistake, Philip Blidi is going to be a big part of this effort for Indiana up front against a very talented offensive line. Now, they've had a little bit of shuffling around, some injuries, particularly on the interior. They're getting some of those guys back healthy. But Philip and Ladarius Cox and Patrick Lucas and Marcus Burris and that whole group up there really going to be tested, along with Andre Carter and Linnell Carr and Miles Jackson are up there from that bull position. But I think what's really important, and you heard it from Coach Tom Allen, if you were watching any of his news conferences this week and just in watching the games, but this is a game against Penn State this Saturday where we have to see the Aaron Casey of Ohio State, where we got to see the Jacob Mangum-Farrar of Ohio State, wanting a little bit more out of that second level and knowing that they have it there to give. And I think that is the important piece. You're not asking anything that they haven't already showed on tape. And so those guys will be tested, and those guys need to be up to that challenge this week because, I think Penn State is certainly hearing a lot of that frustration. They kind of felt like this was going to be their year to knock off those, Big Ten East behemoths in Ohio State and Michigan, and they're 0-1 when it comes to those two teams so far this season. So, I think they're going to be hungry to showcase, their ability offensively, which we did not see a week ago. 0 for 15. They started the game 0 for 15 on third down. It's about as frustrating as it gets for an offense. And so they were able to keep the thing close, though, made some field goals and made it a one-score game at the end. But Kind of shows their resiliency a little bit. But they definitely want to showcase that they're a better offensive team than they put it out there a week ago against a really good defense in Ohio State. So Indiana needs to bring that kind of effort defensively that help keep that game real close against Ohio State in the opener. So I think that'll be really, really important. Wouldn't be surprised if in this game Penn State tries to air it out more than they have so far this season. Kind of showcase that they can do that to help prepare them for that as they get set, with other big matchups down the road this season. Michigan's still out there for them as they try to stay alive in the Big Ten East Division championship hunt. But so defensively, big guys up front, and then that linebacking core with JMF and with Aaron Casey, think are absolutely huge this week. On offense, for IU, I thought a run game actually played, offensive line played pretty good against a really good defensive front in Rutgers this last week. Ran the ball pretty well. Love to see some more Trent Howland. Him getting those opportunities and taking advantage of those opportunities likely only leads to more. And you heard it in our conversation with Coach Craig Johnson on Under the Hood with IU football earlier this week, which is still out there for you guys to consume over on IUHoosiers.com. But you earn those opportunities, in practice, and then you keep them by showing that you can perform when the red light's on. Right? When the lights are shining the brightest. And I think Trent Howland's done that. Obviously, Christian Turner's been terrific for this team. Jalen Lucas has that ability, that home run ability on each and every play. And then Josh Henderson's getting more healthy, which is really encouraging. So that Indiana backfield this week against a really good Penn State front and linebacker core, they always have those linebackers there, going to be really important to kind of control the tempo of the game and keep it on IU's terms. And then, I think didn't really see it kind of connect against Rutgers, but the fact that Brendan Sorsby was trying to push the ball down the field a number of times and just could not connect with Cam Camper. So surely that was an emphasis this week. And if you get some of those deep balls turned around, it might feel like a different game against Rutgers offensively. If you can connect on some of those deep shots, some of those explosive plays, I think that really helps IU's cause this week against a Penn State secondary that's full of NFL talent. No question about it. So they've got some studs back there, but what a great opportunity to show that, you can compete at the highest level against the best competition. And I think Indiana's got the talent to do that. Love to see a little bit more from Donovan McCulley this week. Haven't seen a ton of that these last couple of weeks. DeKeese Carter, another guy who can get in there and make those tough catches. And then see if we can get those tight ends back rolling a little bit too in the pass game. So I think those are some things to look out for from Indiana's side. And obviously for Penn State's side, it's a really good football team, really talented team. We talked a little bit about the running backs, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, and then you even throw Trey Potts in there, who transferred in to Penn State from Minnesota. They've got terrific backfield depth. Those two, Allen and Singleton, as true freshmen last year, were fantastic for Penn State. We saw them. I think Allen ended up with 3 touchdowns against IU last year. So really talented group, and they've got a terrific group in front of them in the offensive line, led by a guy who, if he'd have come out in the draft a year ago, would have been a top 10 pick at left tackle in Olu Fashanu. He's 20 years old right now, and he'll probably end up as a top 10 pick if he comes out this year. He's really good, and they play really well together. They're well coached, and that's going to be a real challenge for Indiana's front. So obviously those 3 guys, that the running backs and the offensive line led by Fashanu, definitely work off each other. The quarterback Drew Aller in his first year starting, that first game against West Virginia, you were like, holy smokes, this guy might take the league or the country by storm, and just kind of had some uneven games in the last couple of weeks, which certainly we know when you start a quarterback who hadn't played a whole lot. So that's definitely something, to watch out for. Appreciate you, Brad, for leaving the comment. Brad Herring, who chiming in that he's listening to what we got going on here tonight. So thanks, Brad. Appreciate you tuning in here this evening. So, Aller, I think has been the subject of some criticism, and maybe more so scheme and play calling and structure of the offense, and that they have not been able to find explosive plays, Penn State, over the course of this season for the most part. So their ability, to do that and to try to work on that, in a game like this, as they try to continue to improve down the stretch, might be something to watch out for sure, because if they're finding some success in the run game, that's when the building off of that run, play action, shot plays can start to take hold. So got to watch out for that. Defensive side of the ball, they've got terrific front, terrific edge rushers, Adisa Isaac and Chop Robinson, two of the very best in the conference. Now, Robinson was banged up last week against Ohio State. Not sure. James Franklin said it wasn't season ending this week, so it didn't necessarily sound like, maybe maybe he ends up being out for this week, but can come back later on in the season. Still, though, terrific depth along that front for Penn State. Disa Isaac, a terrific player, and is really finding a knack for getting to the quarterback this year. And then at the linebacker spot, take your pick. They're all really good. Abdul Carter is a guy that wears number 11. Obviously, that means a lot at Penn State. And so he's definitely a dude that can kind of be one of those sideline-to-sideline players. I feel like a real playmaker at the second level. And he's definitely one that Indiana will certainly be watching out for. And then in the secondary, I touched on it a little bit. Kalen King, he's a first-round talent in the NFL draft. And obviously Joey Porter Jr. last year, I thought, had first-round talent, didn't end up going until the second round, but has showed that he can be a player in the league early on, and has already showed some of those flashes as a rookie this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kalen King, I think no different. I think is probably the leader in terms of NFL talent in that secondary, but there's plenty of it out there, and there's no shortage of it. And so all those guys can make plays. But again, just a few things to kind of look out for as you're watching this game on whether you're watching it on CBS at noon or whether you're listening to Don Fisher and I on the IU radio broadcast, which of course you can hear if you tune in to the Varsity app from Learfield, if you tune in on any number of the IU radio network stations, or if you catch us on Sirius XM, which you see at the bottom of your screen. Channel 195 is where you can find the IU radio feed with myself and Don Fisher, John Herrick, and our great crew that sets you up each and every week. So that's going to do it for us on this edition of IU Football Live. But we'll, of course, be back with you next week. Same time, same place, getting you ready for next week's matchup against Wisconsin. Obviously, they got a big game this week against Ohio State. So it's going to be an interesting weekend in the Big Ten. And then we'll be back with you Monday for Under the Hood with IU Football, presented by your Central Indiana Ford dealers, where we'll get a chance to chat with a member of the IU coaching staff following this matchup against Penn State. But looking forward to the game, looking forward to getting back out to Happy Valley, and looking forward to finding a way for Indiana to get a victory this week. Thanks again for being with us here in Indiana Football Live. We'll see you next week, everybody.